Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Of course not, 3-0. Motion passed. Is there any additions that the committee needs to review or discuss?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you have anything, Kyle?
No, Mr. Chairman, I do not.
Okay. We adjourn at 6:47.
Rise and remove any cover.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
United
States of
States
America
of America,
and to the republic for which it stands,
and
one nation
one
under
nation,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dearest Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day that we have, and thank you for bringing us all together to talk about the things for the city of Riverton. Please bless us all in the decisions that we will make, that we can do what's best for the community as a whole and for all the people therein. Please pour out your blessings upon our first responders, police, military, and all of those who serve us every day, keeping us safe. We ask you to bless all of those that are here and that they may travel home safely tonight. We ask all these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, everyone. Would the Administrative Services Director please conduct the roll call?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilman Dean Peranto.
Here.
Councilwoman Lindsay Cox. Councilman Mike Bailey.
Here.
Councilwoman Carla Borders.
Here.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Here.
Councilwoman Christy Salisbury.
here.
Mayor Tim Hancock.
I am here. I would entertain a motion to excuse Councilwoman Lindsay Cox from tonight's meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Peranto, second by Councilwoman Borders. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. I declare we have a quorum. I'd entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Peranto with the motion, Councilwoman Borders with the second. Any discussion, amendments, additions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Introduction and oath of office, Community Services Officer, Chief of Police Hurtado.
Thank you, Your Honor. Last year, the city sought and requested special funding for 2 positions to help us here. Our lead supervisor, Sarah Nelson, had applied for a special grant that calls for funding of 2 community service officer positions. The grant was approved, and tonight we're filling one of those positions with Jeff Manning. Jeff and his wife came here by the way of the Pacific Northwest, and he's a Navy veteran. After they met in the 90s, he spent most of his time working for companies such as Microsoft and Amazon. He likes spending most of his time cooking and hunting and playing golf, and they moved to Riverton about a year and a half ago, and they've already purchased a house here in town. The position for community service officer is important in our goals to help alleviate some of the call volume that some of our sworn officers do, and is a support role, a non-sworn role. But as he's come on board the last few days, he's been very helpful, and he's learning well the position that he's in for. So tonight, Your Honor, I'd like to ask Jeff Manning and his wife Megan to please come forward for the oath.
Thank you. And we'll meet you here at the podium. All right, we'll do what we can to make sure people can hear. If you could raise your right hand. I,
I,
Jeff Manning,
Jeffrey Manning,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the State of Wyoming
the Constitution of the State of Wyoming
and the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the United States,
that I have not knowingly violated any law
that I have not knowingly violated any law
related to my appointment
related to my appointment
or caused it to be done by others,
or caused it to be done by others,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Chief. Appreciate it.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dean.
Welcome.
Appreciate it.
Welcome. Nice to meet you. You too.
Thank you.
Nice job, Jeff. Thank you.
Welcome to Riverton.
Glad you made it over. Hope the chamber's doing good. We're hanging in, okay. Absolutely.
Welcome aboard, Jeff. Certainly appreciate you being willing to serve and look forward to it. And traditionally, you would be giving a 15-minute speech right now, but because we have a pretty full agenda, we'll let you off with a warning this time. Well, thank you, and certainly appreciate having a community service officer here. I've lived in a couple of communities that have had those, and they definitely kind of help fill a gap and a need for the community, and so appreciate you stepping into that role. On with police-related matter, our next item is a National Public Safety Telecommunications Week proclamation. I'll just read this. Whereas Public Safety Telecommunicators Week was established to recognize and honor the telecommunication personnel who dedicate their lives to public safety. It was initially a local initiative set up in 1981 by Patricia Anderson of Contra Costa County, which has grown into a nationwide week-long event. Whereas during emergencies, the majority of Americans rely on the 911 service. Every day, more than 500,000 public safety communicators respond to distress calls, providing essential services that save lives and protect American citizens' property. Whereas this week presents an opportunity for the entire nation to express appreciation and recognize that our health, safety, and well-being often rely on the commitment and unwavering dedication of public safety telecommunicators. Now, therefore, I, Tim Hancock, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Riverton, Wyoming, do hereby proclaim April 14th through 20th as Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, in witness whereunto I have set my hand and caused the official seal of the city to be affixed this 16th day of April 2024. And I'm glad we have some dispatchers here with us and appreciate your hard work every day. I will tell you that I have had the wonderful opportunity, I don't know if I'll say wonderful, but I have called 911 before, and I have always been treated professionally, and I think we are blessed with a very good group of individuals who come in every day, put in long hours, and I can tell you it takes a special kind of person to be a dispatcher. I've been in the dispatch room before, and if you've ever wanted to be looking at 6 or 7 or 8 screens simultaneously and take phone calls from more than one person at a time and keep track of officers who are sometimes unruly. I just said that because we have a couple officers here too. But try to direct officers in a smart way, be stressed about officers when you haven't heard them check in for a couple of minutes and you don't know what's going on. There's a lot going on. And so I really appreciate all that you do every day, and I think that it's a really good opportunity to celebrate public safety telecommunicators this week, and I would encourage everyone to do something to recognize them in some form or fashion. So.
Your Honor, with your permission, I'd like to call our dispatchers forward to be recognized by name.
Sounds great.
All right.
You have my permission. You might not have theirs, and that might ultimately what happens.
Like you said, they're a real dedicated group of individuals that can multitask and can tell you where to go with a smile. So we appreciate all their work. I know it's a frustrating job to sit behind several screens, multitask way beyond what I can do. But they're definitely a crucial link between the police force and the public, and they're unseen heroes of public safety. So at this time, I'd like to ask all our dispatchers, Brandy, Caitlin, Camille, Kristen, Megan, Valerie, and Sarah, please come forward for one moment, please. Please line up for a photo op for Ernie. Ernie, all yours.
Okay, everybody smiling? Have you looked in the bags yet? Goodies in there? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And you mentioned about the 500,000 calls. I think that was just today.
Well, that was my impression too. So thank you very much. Appreciate you also getting back to work. Thank you. All right, next up, we have council committee reports and council members roundtable. Councilman Paranto, since you look so lonely over there, why don't we
Way
start
over
with
here, just keeping my distance. I have actually not had any committee meetings since our last council meeting that I was able to attend. I was out of town for training last week. So until this Friday at 8 a.m., there will be an airport board meeting in council chambers.
All right, thank you. Councilman Bailey.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm looking here to make sure.
That's
We did have Force Committee meeting last Monday. And again, they're busy getting projects ready for this summer. Again, we've got one of the bids on our agenda tonight. And again, they're an extremely frugal and caring group of people that put together the projects that we need to do to keep our streets and all of that in good order. They're going to spend probably about $1 million this year on pavement prevention, which is, you know, the old ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So hopefully we can get the streets either slurry sealed or chip sealed or whatever we need to do to make them last longer and not have to go in and rebuild the streets totally. And then they are going to be rebuilding Major Avenue. They're going to basically rotomill that off and re-asphalt over that. And then part of College View, we'll get that too. Again, as you probably are aware, College View's got several really soft spots and having some issues. And so those are probably the two big projects on the agenda for the year. And it looks like the bids are coming in pretty reasonable, and so hopefully we'll have a little money extra and maybe be able to come up with some other projects depending on how these bids go. So that's the only other meeting I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Borders.
Your Honor, I had Finance Committee earlier, and Kyle will tell us all about all that excitement. And then prior to that, I had a pause meeting. And the big item on the agenda for right now is the upcoming concert on April 27th. It's called Almost Elton John. It's at CWC. And you can get tickets at the Stock Dock or at Pause. So I hope everybody can turn out for that and help support Pause. And other than that, that's all I've got.
All right, thank you. Councilman Larson.
Your Honor, attended the Solid Waste Committee meeting in Lander. Report back that the transfer stations of Du Bois is complete. The proposed transfer station in Lander, when Lander is shut down, is 50% complete. And they are proceeding on the Sandral modification when it becomes the go-to place sometime around 2027 or 28, depending upon when Lander shuts down. Haven't heard an inventory on Freeboard yet, but it appears everything's fine. There was an interesting topic. Lander wanted to have their annual fireworks meeting on the hill there at the solid waste station in Lander, and the amount of hoops that we jumped through to accommodate that. And then they found another place, fortunately. So that'll be in Lander this year on the 4th. And we had the Finance Committee, which I'll report later. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilwoman Salisbury, if you're still on.
Yes, I'm still on. I attended the same meetings that Carla did, the finance meeting and the TAD applications meeting earlier. We'll hear about that later on in the meeting, so.
Well, report on the hospital.
You want me to report on the hospital? They had some bids the other day. Was it last Thursday? They opened 3 bids, and they're reviewing them now.
All right. Well, I guess keep us posted as to where that goes if you can.
The interesting thing about that is the bid from St. George was about half. And so they're wondering if the foundation was included or whether there was a covering on the building or where they were reading somewhere. Just one second, I want to have a little. Kyle, when a bid comes in at half price like that, what does that do to you?
Your Honor, it makes me a little nervous.
And so the hospital committee is very nervous, and they're looking at that lower bid with a jaundiced eye, I would imagine, because that always, you wonder if you have completed your bid accurately, is that right?
Well, I think what they'll do is they'll vet it, and then you can always go up in your bid, but you can't go down in your bid. So it's still to be determined.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it, Councilman Larson and Councilwoman Salisbury. Mr. Butterfield.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just have a few items to bring up tonight. It's already been mentioned, but there will be an airport board meeting this Friday at 8 a.m. And I'd also like to make note that the airport board and staff have been working diligently on a master planning project. This has been a great project for the airport to be working on with a consultant. The FAA is supporting it with a grant as well. And after the airport board meeting, we'll have a number of stakeholders gathering together as a technical advisory committee to inform our consultant about issues related to the airport and priorities that they should be focusing on as we work forward on producing a deliverable for that master plan. Segueing from that, I think it's also appropriate to remind the council and the public that we're also working on a systematic water master plan, and this is in conjunction with the Wyoming Water Development Office, and we definitely appreciate their support because this is also grant supported. And the value of this water master plan is that we have opportunity to look holistically at our system, our delivery sources, our ability to move water back and forth, and also to analyze our growth potential as a community and whether or not our utilities are able to support any proposed growth over the next 10 to 20 years. That process has been in the works for over a year, and we're looking forward to a final report being delivered soon and also a public meeting so that the public is aware of what the priorities are related to that master plan. So I thought I'd at least make mention of that and remind folks that those two significant projects will provide value to our community as we move forward and have a vision for the future. This Thursday, there will be a planning commission meeting here at City Hall, and that will be at 5:30 in the council chambers. I want to make reference that several staff members attended the grant summit that was coordinated through the governor's office and also through our congressional representatives. And I know that there are several in the audience that attended that summit as well, and I believe it was a valuable opportunity for our community to learn about federal grants that are available to move our community forward. My only regret is I had other priorities and I wasn't able to attend it as much as I wanted, but that's why I have great staff and they were able to attend throughout the summit. I want to highlight the police department and other law enforcement entities for coordinating over the last week on a multi-jurisdictional operation to provide support to the Wyoming Game and Fish Commission meeting that's going on right now. I'm very impressed when I see these professionals gather together and prepare for an event and ensure that any possible variable is accounted for and planned for. And I want to give credit to our chief, our captain, our sergeants, all of our officers, our dispatchers, anybody that's been involved. We have such an amazing team, and I appreciate that. If it's okay, my last two items may bring a little bit of levity to the meeting, Your Honor.
That sounds good.
All right. Kathy Klein needs to be smarter about sharing her birthday. But I do want to reference that my friend Kathy Klein's in the audience, and she's turning 40 on Thursday. So if you have opportunity on April 18th, you can wish Kathy Klein birthday. And then the last item is it pains me greatly to say that Brian Eggleston deserves bragging rights for a year for winning our March Madness tournament within the city. And congratulations.
Thank you.
Are we clapping for Brian or Kathy right now?
Both. Just Kathy.
40 is a great age.
I feel sorry for Kathy.
It is. I was there a couple years ago, so.
Your Honor, forgive me for adding a little bit of levity, but if I could end on some very good news. We received word from SkyWest about 2 weeks ago that they were back at the table ready to offer a daily mid-day turn is what I would call it. So the second daily flight at Central Wyoming Regional Airport. This has been something that we have not had as a community since 2022. In fact, we're returning to pre-pandemic schedules. I'm very proud of our air service team. I'm proud of our air service partner, and very happy that they came back to the table, were able to offer additional capacity to our community and also the Rock Springs community. And we've confirmed this weekend that United loaded that schedule, so they're available for purchase. Currently, that new schedule will take into effect in June, so starting June 1st, and it's loaded through the summer through August 18th currently, and we expect United to load it further into the future. But I'm very happy to announce that we are adding capacity to Central Wyoming Regional Airport, and to me, that's a testament to the market that we have. We have seen significant usage at our local airport, and we've seen, even with a restricted schedule, our local flyers returning to their local airport. And with now the added capacity, with a better schedule, I only expect things to get better. And so I wanted to share that information with you and congratulate our team and our community, especially for those that helped bring the 0.5% tax into effect, because that is what is allowing us to bring this back and keep our service going. So that's the last thing I'd bring up, and hopefully end on a very good note with that news.
Thank you. I appreciate
It
that.
is good.
That's, making us clap a lot. Well, happy birthday, Kathy, in 2 days. And I really appreciate the hard work to get SkyWest ready to offer that midday flight. That's going to be very helpful and definitely represents, I think, a lot of hard work from people at the city, but also the demand that we have here. And so thank you for getting that going. I mainly have to report on events, I suppose. We had a grand opening for the Pinnacle Day Center yesterday. It was a good opportunity to recognize them, and they had some good food, so that was appreciated. Had hamburgers and some brownies and that kind of thing. Their center looks like it's going to be very well organized, and I appreciate their hard work in getting that going. We also had the first event. I'm assuming it will probably be a first annual event, but for the not the Center of Hope, Eagles Hope. They had the Wings of Eagles fundraiser event and was well attended. Councilman Bailey was there. We were both there. It was a good opportunity to listen to what they do. The highlight, I think, of the evening was for sure that they had a few former clients, or current clients, I guess, who reported on just what Eagles Hope had done for them. And it was, I don't want to use the word sobering, that sounds kind of maybe pointed, but it was sobering. It was a really good opportunity to hear the effect that they've had on the community and on folks' lives here. And I just really enjoyed that event, and I also appreciated the program wasn't that long and it was engaging.
Yes.
Sometimes you go to things like that and it feels like the program just goes forever, but it was very well done. I also had an opportunity to attend a little girl's birthday party. That might sound kind of funny, but Ava Bailey had her birthday party at Pause for Life on Saturday, which was unique. I spoke with Whitney Fontes, who's the new director over there, and she said, well, this is the first time I've had a birthday party here. But it was a fun event. We had different folks who came there and were like Zendaya, who does, she sells lemonade and baked goods so that she can get money to put items in the pantry here at the city of Riverton. And she had her booth there. Other groups were there, and it was just a really fun event to be able to have people come out to Pause, kind of see what they're doing. I think they got at least one adoption from it, so that was good. And I think it was a good opportunity for people to see any changes and animals that were there. I just about went home with the dog, but then I remembered I have 2 dogs, a cat, a bird, and 6 kids, and did not. But if you go there, I would encourage you to stop by and see Rose. She is cute. She's a cute little dog that an owner regrettably had to surrender there because she was moving, didn't have a chance to take her with her, and check her out. She's fun. I'm not kidding when I said I just about was ready to take her home. I also had an opportunity to attend the RHS Auditorium groundbreaking, and that has been many, many years in the works. I'm excited for that to be put into the high school. That will be used by people for generations to come, by our high school students, and it will be a really good addition to the high school. So I was excited to attend that, and we're able to hear from some folks there, and that was a good opportunity to attend that. Last thing was I went to the EDGE meeting on Thursday. We had presentations from applicants, and I'll tell you, it's kind of like Councilman Larson when we got done with our contracts for services presentations. He commented on how hard that is. We have only traditionally provided about $275,000 for contracts for services, and we had requested, or we had received requests in more than $700,000. That makes for a hard decision. And when you have a lot of organizations that are doing a lot of good in the community, it makes it even harder. And it's the same with the EDGE presentations. We have a lot of different organizations, businesses in the community that have some unique, fun, good ideas, and being able to figure that out is always hard. So I appreciate everybody that's been willing to invest in our community in a lot of different ways, whether it's as a nonprofit or as a business, and certainly appreciated getting to hear those presentations over the last couple of weeks. So that's it for my report. Moving on to our communication from the floor. This is a time for an opportunity for citizens to be able to have the floor, to be able to speak to the council with different ideas, things that you'd like to report to us on. I'd ask that if you are talking about something that is on the agenda, you can wait until that agenda item comes up. If you'd like to get my attention, raise your hand. We'll give you an opportunity to speak. But in either event, I'd ask you, if you're an individual, to keep your comments to 5 minutes. If you're part of a group, I'd ask you to keep your comments and split them up with your group for 10 minutes. I'd also ask you to keep to some general rules that are usually recognized for decorum, generally speaking in meetings, so that we make sure that there is order. All comments or questions are addressed to the chair. I'd ask you to refrain from using individual names. I'd ask you to stay on topic with what you're speaking about. And I would ask you to refrain from comments of a personal nature that might reflect on the character or conduct of another individual, including name-calling or personal criticism, fighting words, obscene language, that kind of thing. So, if you'd like to have an opportunity to come up and speak, please come up now. And just if you could start by telling us your name, and if you're with a group, what group you're with.
Nope, just by myself. My name is Warren Olmsted. I go by Gus also. I live at 811 Wolf Creek Drive here in Riverton. And my first question I've got is, who is the council person for that ward? Anybody know?
What's the address? Sorry.
811 Wolf Creek Drive, up by the college.
So that would be, if you're near the college, that'd be Councilman Bailey and Councilwoman Cox. That's
Okay.
Ward 3.
All right. I've got a few things here. Some of you remember me and my wife from about 6, 7 years ago when we came in here and they were putting those apartments in up there, which were pretty much stuffed down our throat. And we were told at the time that there would be an on-site manager. There's no on-site manager, no vetting going on in there. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not a prejudiced person. I never have been. I wasn't raised that way. But that whole Copper Mountain Apartments is all natives now, except for one white lady. She stopped by when my wife was outside the other day and was talking to her. You asked me not to mention any names, so I won't, but there's one gentleman up there, and the city police officers would know who I'm talking about, that wanders around with his 2 dogs off of a leash. You can see him downtown at Smith's. He goes into Smith's and the dogs stay out there. The police officers have told myself and my wife a number of times that they have talked to him about putting them on a leash, but nobody enforces it. And I know there's a leash law in Riverton. There's some of the apartments up there, the bigger ones on the other side over by the community center, not the ones next to us. Those people have got 4 and 5 dogs, and their dogs are out constantly. The apartments on Copper Creek, the lady down there told my wife the other day that one of the people have got a dog that is half coyote, and the city of Riverton has already cited them for it. But I guess that's as far as they took it. My wife and I, our dog, my German Shepherd, has gotten out from under our fence. We've got a 6-foot chain link fence around our back property. And when another dog comes by and gets up there, he just goes ballistic. Well, he found a way to get out from underneath the fence, so we've been working on stabilizing the bottom of our fence. We got the whole section and the rock section done Sunday. And I said, well, let's go out to the backyard, and Grizz is out there with us. I said, he'll be fine. Well, lo and behold, we weren't out there 3 minutes, and here come the guy with the 2 dogs, and his dog come up right to the fence, and they were just going, and my wife and I are trying to catch our dog. Well, we hadn't secured this side of the yard yet. Well, he got out from underneath, and I mean, he attacked that guy's dog. And I had to go over to get out the other gate to go out there and get him, you know, but I don't know why he doesn't have to obey leash law around here. Another thing, the trash, we've talked about it before. There's a broke-down truck sitting up there on Wolf Creek Drive, right at the back of those Copper Mountain apartments. It's been broke down since August or September. It's a Ford pickup. Just sits there, you know, and I drive out to the reservation once a week for my job, sometimes twice a week. And I know what it looks like out there, and that's what this is starting to feel like up here. There's, it's like there's no rules up there. And be honest with you, I'm starting to feel like it's some part of a Riverton ghetto up there. You know, we've been there, we moved there in 2012. So we've been up there 11, 12 winters, whatever. I've seen a snow plow up there one time on Wolf Creek Drive. I was plowing the road myself with my side-by-side. Last year, I quit. I'll plow out in front of our driveway to clear that off because I go down there and then these people get stuck in their vehicles and want me to come down and pull them out. And I went down there and offered them a shovel, and they sat in their vehicle and wanted me to go in there and shovel their truck out. I just turned around, picked my shovel up, and went back home. You know, we had a pothole up there right where you turn off of Main Street onto North Hill Street. 2 years before that little pothole was filled. They just filled it here, I'd say, in the last month and a half. You know, I know there's potholes all over town, but, you know, we just don't get, it's like they don't care about anybody up there. And I don't know what can be done about this stuff, everything that's going on up there. You know, somebody's got to do something. Somebody's got to have some concern somewhere. I've gotten verbally into arguments with, I'd say 2 or 3 different people up there. And I don't care. I'm not going to back down from them. You know, and I've gone out there many a times with a broom and a shovel, sweeping glass up out of the street. The Indian gal walked up one day and she looked at me real stupid and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm picking this glass up so I don't have to run over it and so everybody else don't have to run over it." Because they drive by and they just throw beer bottles out their car windows. And it's broken glass all the time. I have to drive over that. My wife has to drive over it. And, you know, I don't know, this stuff with the dogs. It's just something's got to be done, you know. I mean, we keep our dogs. Our dogs do not go outside anymore by themselves. We're out there with them. When we go to work, we've got kennels for them, one in the garage and everything, and we take care of our animals. But I get up at 1:30, 2 o'clock every morning. I'll take my dogs out. I leave for work at 4:30. I'll drive off. Here's a husky, 2 pit bulls. The people just open their door and let them go. Nobody out there to watch them. And kids out there with the dogs. And like I say, when my dog sees them, he goes just totally ballistic. And that's why we're now trying to get the bottom of our fence secured so that he can't get out. So.
Well, I appreciate your work trying to make sure you're in compliance. And
Right.
the good thing is we've got the chief of police, we've got the community development department here. We'll definitely look into your concerns.
Okay. Well, I will say one thing. Since we've lived here, the police department, I think, has always been real good about stuff up there, taking care of stuff. I mean, I remember 2 years ago, I left to go to work at 4:30 one morning, and there was a native lady across the street on the sidewalk. And I walked over and I said, "Are you okay?" She was out. And I called the police department and they come up. I mean, she'd have froze to death if I wouldn't have called. And they got her, you know, and I see them over there at 3 o'clock in the morning all the time. 3, 4 o'clock in the morning over at them apartments, you know, because there's arguments, fights, and everything going on all hours of the night, day, and everything. So I just wish something could get done about it.
Well, I appreciate you coming in.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else that wanted to address the council on an item?
Your Honor, how many police calls have we had up there?
Oh, more than 5, I bet,
this month.
probably.
There's an ordinance on that.
There is, and I was actually just thinking of that.
And the previous mayor had had a conversation with the owner of Copper Hills, and he was very repentant. But obviously, he is trying our patience.
That's all things we can work on, so
Thank
I
you.
agree.
Your Honor,
Yes, ma'am.
I walk around that area all the time since I work at the college, and some of the loose dogs really are a safety issue. I've had kids going trying to get away from them, different people that are walking. I know we should probably be calling it in, but it really is a safety issue. And the gentleman that spoke earlier, his dogs, if they can get out, they'll, because of the other dogs, it's going to really cause someone to get injured if it isn't cleaned up.
Thank you. All right. You're up, Mrs. Buller.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Julie Buller, and I'm with the Riverton Chamber and Visitor Center, and I just wanted to share a couple of things with you and give you guys an invitation, or invitations plural. So we have on May 3rd, our next Lunch and Learn. We always do that on the first Friday of every month, and that'll be Hub Insurance talking about the health insurance benefits. So please come join us or share that with your business associates. On May 2nd, we are doing a ribbon cutting with WYO Today's big grand opening that they're going to be doing at 5:30 p.m. And on May 23rd, we're doing an after-hours social that will be at the Chamber's new location at 524 East Main, which is the Fremont Local Market building. We're going to partner up with the Fremont Local and with Rocky Mountain Borough. We've also invited the JCs who have committed to coming, and we've invited the Kiwanis. And what we're trying to do is expand on these after-hours socials to where we get more people engaged in them. So we have 3 sponsors and 2 nonprofits. At the very beginning, they'll each give a little bit of introduction about their business and their organization. And then we're going to do something fun and break out into teams and do some Riverton trivia to break the ice for everybody. And then we also have our next one planned for June 20th at the Riverton Country Club. And we have our Edward Jones folks, Mick Pryor, Kurt Gallitz, and Grace Andrus. And then we've invited Riverton Medical District to be a part of that, and probably Abba's House. So if they don't commit, we'll find other nonprofits. So we're going to try to just expand these, and we're going to do these in central locations, or central in neutral locations, and try to support our businesses, restaurants, and bars. So if you guys can, come attend both of those on the 23rd and June 20th. I think it's going to be fun, the trivia competitions that we're going to have, and we'll get more people there and engaging in these networking opportunities. So wanted to share that with you. And also, too, we did meet with 3, some of us from the Chamber Board met with 3 of the council members a couple weeks ago, and they had some concerns over trying to find the Chamber because we have multiple websites and multiple Facebook pages. And so we are working on getting that taken care of so that you guys can find us easier. So once we got that all figured out, which is taking us time, we'll share that information with you as well. So thank you.
And I guess tell me the next Lunch and Learn one more time, if you can.
May 3rd. May 3rd.
May 3rd.
Yep.
And then your new location right now, which I stopped by the other day, and it just looks great, is with the Fremont Local Market there on Main Street. And
Our tie-in with the Visitor Center, the Fremont Local producers, and then the craftsmen that are out front there too. We just think it's a perfect tie-in. We need to get more signage. I've had people that have told me that they had a hard time finding us. We have one big sign that's actually on the side street, which I'm not sure what that is there, but then we'll get another one on Main Street, and then we're hoping to put one on the side door, which you'll enter from, which is our meeting room. We actually had our first chamber board meeting there this morning, and we have a nice meeting room back in there. And then we'll put also, as you can see Colin in the back with the visitor center, we'll put a sign over him, so we're going to make ourselves more visible so everybody can find us. But we need funding to do that, so we're working on that. And I will tell you that we have been beating the streets, and we've been getting a lot of new members renewed and new members. So I think that the community is pretty excited about the future of the chamber. So we just wanted to share that exciting new information with you guys. So thank you.
thank you. All right. Up next then, Mrs. Harris, if you could please read the consent agenda items by title only.
Yes, Your Honor. Approval of the minutes, April 2nd, 2024 regular council meeting. Approval of the minutes, April 2nd, 2024 executive session. Approval of the minutes, April 9th, 2024 council work session. Approval of the minutes, April 16th, 2024 finance committee meeting. And approval of the finance committee recommendations, April 16th, 2024.
Thank you. Are there any items requiring further discussion?
Excuse me. Your Honor, the Finance Committee met this prior to this meeting, and we moved on the motion of paying amount of $1,083,394.22, credit cards for $6,336.90, manual checks in the amount of $213, payroll and liabilities for April 4th in the amount of $220,800.62 for a total of $1,310,744.74.
Thank you. Chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bailey with the motion, Councilwoman Borders with the second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh,
Aye.
Sorry.
did I miss you on discussion?
Yeah, Your Honor, I'll abstain from the Bailey Enterprises line items on the Finance Committee report.
All right. We already voted on it, but
Aye.
Noted.
I will note your abstention. Any opposed, say nay. I'll give you more time next time, Mr.
right.
Bailey. I vote aye. Motion passes. Public hearing and consideration of retail liquor license transfer of ownership and transfer of location from STECK'S, Inc. to Adult Rec Center Bar and Grill, Inc. Administrative Services Director's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. On March 18th, 2024, an application for a transfer of ownership and location of a retail liquor license was filed with the city clerk's office. The non-operational license is currently held by STECK'S Incorporated, doing business as Rocky Mountain Discount Liquor, located at 709 North Federal Boulevard, so it's just right across the street from us here. The applicant, Adult Rec Center Bar and Grill LLC, doing business as Adult Rec Center, is requesting approval of a transfer of ownership and location to operate at 514 North Federal Boulevard. The application and supporting documentation have been submitted to the Wyoming Liquor Division, and they have certified that as complete. The proper fees have been paid, and notice of the public has been advertised. There are representatives of both parties here in the audience this evening if you should have any questions. And at this time, staff would recommend the approval of the transfer of ownership and location of the retail liquor license described.
Thank you. Chair would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Borders with the motion, Councilman Bailey with the second. All in favor, say aye.
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 I vote aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. I declare the public hearing open. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes and other applicable laws. I'd ask individuals wishing to address the council, approach the podium, identify yourself for the record. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on this item? There being no one to speak,
Seeing none, Your Honor, I would move we close the public hearing.
I'll second.
motion by Councilman Bailey, second by Councilwoman Borders. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. I declare the public hearing closed. I'd entertain a motion to approve the transfer of ownership and location of the retail liquor license from STECK'S, Inc. to Adult Rec Center Bar and Grill LLC for the remainder of the 4/1/2024 through 3/31/2025 liquor license term.
So moved.
Councilman Bailey with the motion. Councilman Paranto with the second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
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 I vote aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Good luck. Thank you for being here. All right, public hearing and consideration of restaurant liquor license, Brown Sugar, Inc. Ms. Harris again.
Thank you, Your Honor. It's rare that we get 2 new liquor license applications, and they both came in on the same day. So, on March 18th, 2024, an application was filed in the city clerk's office by Brown Sugar, Inc. The applicant is requesting the issuance of a new restaurant liquor license with a licensed operating address of 203 East Main Street. Brown Sugar, Inc. previously held a retail liquor license through the city of Riverton, and during this last application period, opted not to renew as a retail license holder. However, they would like the council approval to secure a restaurant liquor license for that location. I apologize, they were not a retail liquor license, they were a bar and grill liquor license holder. The application and supporting documentation has been certified by the Wyoming Liquor Division as complete. The proper fees have been paid and notice to the public has been advertised.
All right, Chair would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Borders with the motion, Councilman Paranto with the second. All in favor, say aye.
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 I vote aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. I declare the public hearing open. Same as last time. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes and other applicable laws. I'd ask individuals who wish to speak about this to address the council. Approach the podium, identify yourself for the record. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak about the Brown Sugar restaurant liquor license request?
Seeing no one, Your Honor, I'll move we close the hearing.
Second.
Councilman Paranto with the motion, Councilman Bailey with the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. I vote aye. Motion passes. I declare the public hearing is closed. Chair would entertain a motion to approve the application for a restaurant liquor license for Brown Sugar, Inc. for the remainder of the 4/1/2024 through 3/31/2025 liquor licensing term.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Borders with the motion, Councilman Bailey with the second. Discussion.
I have one question that I think I know the answer, but Mia, are we limited on our restaurant liquor licenses?
Your Honor, we are not.
Okay.
Retail only.
Okay. Good deal. And the one that they did not renew was a bar and grill?
That's correct.
You explain the difference for,
You're challenging me on that. With the difference between a restaurant liquor license and the bar and grill license,
right?
I can tell you that the restaurant liquor license is limited to dispensing inside of their approved premise, and it does require that it's a 60% food sales versus a 40% liquor sales. On the bar and grill license, I apologize, I'll have to look it up real quickly if you don't mind my doing that.
That's fine. Yeah, I think the difference is they can have like a full bar as opposed to a restaurant just as serving with meals.
That is correct, yeah.
Okay. Okay. I think that's plenty. Thank you.
Okay.
Not a packaged liquor license. In other words, people can't take it away and consume it off premises.
Correct.
Drink.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Any other discussion, questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, Tourism Asset Development Award recommendations. City Administrator's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. As a reminder, Tourism Asset Development, or TAD, is a program that's a voluntary program or a unique program to Wind River Country. Its purpose is to provide financial support to communities throughout Fremont County, and is overseen by the Wind River Visitor Council. Through TAD, each community utilizes the funds to help them promote and increase their visitor and tourism economies. The goal is to increase visitor spending by encouraging visitors to stay longer in Fremont County. According to the local optional lodging tax manual, it is generally accepted that travel and tourism promotion should bring people in from the outside area for an overnight stay in the community. TAD funds can be used for the following matters, and according to statute, expenditures that relate to travel and tourism promotion and should be limited to promotional materials, television and radio advertising, printed advertising, digital content, social media, promotion of tours, staging of events, educational materials, and other specific tourism-related objectives, providing that none of these funds shall be spent for capital construction or improvements. As referenced in the last business meeting, the Attorney General, or excuse me, 2 business meetings ago, the Attorney General in 1993 confirmed by their opinion that the statute related to the lodging tax may permit the use of the funds for salaries for persons to answer tourist, convention, and tour-type inquiries and the like. TAD cannot be used for items or spent on anything related to alcohol, lobbying efforts, capital construction, marketing for private businesses or staff hours, except for frontline staff at visitor centers and convention and visitor bureaus. City Council established a promotion committee of its own membership, and that promotion committee has been working hard to review applications for the 2024 TAD program. And again, this is a calendar year program, so these are for programs that will expend the funds before the end of this calendar year, December 2024. We as a city will then be required to report to the Wind River Visitor Council in January of 2025 on how the program funds were used and how they served to accomplish the goals and the initiatives that I just kind of outlined as far as the guidelines. The city has established a fund specific to the TAD program, and it is separate from any of the other city funds. That would include the general fund or any other enterprise fund with the city. There's currently $31,971 in the separate TAD account. Included in your packet is a projection of revenues that will be received through the remainder of the calendar year, and that total is $86,528.20. There were a total of 17 applications received from community entities that would like to receive TAD dollars, and of the 17, the total requests equaled $155,193.92. And Your Honor, if it's agreeable to you, I'll turn the time to the TAD Promotion Committee to talk about the recommendations of award that they want to propose to you.
Yes, thank you. Who would like to speak?
Mr. Bailey, go ahead.
All right, thank you. As Mr. Butterfield stated, we had applications that totaled $155,000, and we only have about $80-something thousand to give away. So not everybody's getting what they ask for, and almost everybody's not getting anywhere near what they ask for. So we only can spend the money that we have coming in. Again, these funds are reimbursable after they spend them, and we need to make sure that when they turn their receipts in, again, those items meet the qualifications for the TAD funding as Mr. Butterfield went through. So the committee, after meeting, decided, and these are in no specific order other than the Riverton Branch Library applied for $1,000. Our recommendation is to give them $500. The Wind River Hotel and Casino for the rodeo promotion asked for $15,000. We recommend $5,000. The Rendezvous City Beef Roundup asked for $5,000. We recommend $5,000. The Riverton Chamber of Commerce asked for $58,338.92, and we recommend $35,000. The Rocky Mountain Car Club Winter Show asked for $600. We recommend $500. The Rocky Mountain Car Club Summer Show asked for $6,000. We recommend $3,500. The 1838 Rendezvous Association asked for $4,000. We recommend $1,500. The Fremont County Air Service Team asked for $10,000. We recommended $5,000. The Riverton Autocross asked for $1,000. We recommend $1,000. The Riverton Raiders Baseball asked for $10,000. We recommend $6,000. The Riverton Rendezvous Committee asked for $13,000. We recommend $10,000. The Riverton Youth Soccer Association asked for $10,000. We recommend $6,000. The Riverton Downtowners asked for $82,040. we recommend $2,000 for a total of $81,000, with the balance of $5,528.28 being put into the new opportunity fund for future possible use throughout the year for something that's unexpected that we don't know of yet. And again, all of those have to qualify when they turn in their receipts to meet the specifications of the TAD program. And again, if we have to, we could meet later in the year if we have funds that are not expended and have a project that comes up, or we make any change to this. That's our recommendation, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, I'd entertain a motion regarding distribution of TAD funds.
Your Honor, I'll make that motion as presented.
Second.
All right, so the motion, just to be clear, is to distribute TAD funds as has been outlined by Councilman Bailey?
Yes.
Okay, and then a second by Councilman Bailey. Discussion. Sure, go ahead. You could tell us your name when you come up, and so we can sing to you.
And your birthday.
Yeah, please don't, thank you. So I'm Kathy Klein, I'm from Riverton. There were some notable organizations that were not included on that list, including the Riverton History Tour signs, which is disappointing for me. We've requested the state of Wyoming to provide another $10,000 that would match the $10,000 that we had requested from TAD funds. So I'm hoping that you guys will reconsider some. You have noted $80,000 here, but you have $30,000 in the bank plus $80,000 coming. And that $30,000, of course, was supposedly going to pay for what Chamber already incurred on behalf of the city, but I'm not sure how that fits into the whole thing. But again, as a past member of the Visitors Council that you've all heard 100 times, the reality is that organizations request money knowing they can never spend more than that. By the time it comes to reimbursement, the reimbursements are considerably lower than the requests are. And probably if you could check history, you would see it's a substantial percentage that is not paid out because of the reimbursement aspect of this, which is why they do reimbursement. It's the way to go. So I guess the question is, one, is there a chance at reconsideration, since the Pathways program is definitely intended to bring in tourism? It's to get people to stop as they drive through and have lunch, spend some time in Riverton, so it certainly meets all the criteria. But then the second question would be, and I will say, I always understood this to be a fiscal year program. So because by the time you get to next June, we do this at this time of year so that we go July to June. You will have more monies than if you're only looking at calendar year and it's $80,000 through December, then you've got the next 6 months after that there would be additional funds. So the question being is there a point that when you guys see that there's a lot more money still in the fund than you were expecting, that you will reconsider some of these applications?
I would think so. I know that when you're trying to figure out how much is available, all you can do is base it on the past and where it's going to be.
And I recognize this is new for this council to do this, and so there's lots of lessons learned. I so wish Jim Davis was still alive that could help everybody understand how it works. But anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
And he would definitely have a good historical perspective.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yes, and I definitely appreciated Jim. I guess what I would say is I would think that would be the case. If we ended up having, receipts be twice that, the purpose of the funds are to be spent. It's kind of like we were saying, or I was saying, with the 700,000 being requested for something that we have 275 historically dispersed, it's always hard to choose. I was looking at this and noting that most of them are something like 60%, and it's really having to, balance things out so that nobody's happy. And I know that sounds a little bit weird, but that's just the reality. We can't sit there and, if we're going to be funding a certain amount, it's kind of hard to say we're going to fund this fully and you get 60%. But I appreciate the feedback, and I guess when would, with your program, Kathy, when would that be expended or needed?
I'm going to guess, and this goes through Wyoming Parks, so I'm at their mercy, as things happen. We expect the signs we expect a sort of a grand opening in the spring of next year. And I would not expect that they're installing signs between November and February. So that would put the bills due either just before November or around April. And some of the work probably would be November because the casting of the aluminum and so on and so forth. And guys, I gotta tell you, the Chamber Board basically approved this project before you guys pulled TAD's funds away. So it really has me out on the limb with a lot of people.
Oh, I understand.
And I would have understood, if it was a portion, but a goose egg is a real surprise. So.
Well, I appreciate that, and thank you for coming up, Mr. Bailey.
The other thing about that is we discussed your project, obviously, and I think it's a great project. We just want to get verification from the Visitor Council that it is qualified. Because I think you could consider it capital in some ways, and that's what we don't want to.
They've used TAD funds before for this purpose.
I understand, but
Not
some of those
here, but other places, yeah.
And there were some other applications also that had things that could be considered capital improvements, which, again, we don't want to approve something that doesn't qualify and then get into that muddy, sticky mess and have to renege on what we've told people that we're going to do.
Yeah, so the Office of Tourism people could answer that for you in 30 seconds.
And also, we were told that this is a calendar year because we have January through December. And so if so, then there would be additional funds available. If it does apply to January through June, then there would be those funds. But again, I think it would be fiscally inappropriate for us to approve more money than we think we're going to have, hoping that everybody doesn't turn in the full amount. So we just have to be very careful there, so.
So it would be wonderful if maybe a few months down the line, you guys would reconsider, reopen, especially if you find out what's the deal with the calendar year versus the fiscal. Because like I said, we do this at this time frame because the Visitors Council fiscal year is July to June. And as is the Chamber's.
That's not how it was explained to us. So
Yeah,
we
Yeah, I
make a
understand.
correction, and we did keep $5,000 for things that we hadn't planned
Buffer.
on.
Yeah.
Or changes, so.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I would note, even also for the Chamber of Commerce, for example, from my review, that looks like that's an ask for the fiscal year. And if we're going to be funding $35,000 for the calendar year, that would mean that we would be able to reconsider putting more into that down the road.
So part of the issue for the Chamber, and I'm sorry, Julie, I'm going to speak for you, is, almost $25,000 of that is money they have already incurred on behalf of the city of Riverton for visitor services. There's 2 months' worth of staff that has not yet been incurred. If 25 covers what's passed, you now have 10 to cover the summer, basically, staffing through the summer. And that, it's going to put them in a rough position, but I'll let somebody else speak to that.
Ms. Buller, if you were to receive $35,000 now with the reconsideration in January to see where we're at and everything, would that keep you, I guess, functioning with the current, promises for expenditures from the Chamber? Okay. Well, I guess we'll have to keep an eye on that and keep us posted, and we'll keep an eye on receipts and everything as we go.
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
if I may, I just got a note that we've lost Councilwoman Salisbury. If it's okay, can we call her back at this point?
Yeah, let's do that. Can you call Councilwoman Salisbury back? She hung up.
Hello.
Hey, Christy, it's Max. Got you back on the line.
I'm sorry, I went to him and I hung up instead, so.
Thank you.
All right. Any other discussion? I appreciate the committee looking at this. That's something different than we've done, and we were wanting to do that so that we could get funding out immediately, but we wanted to be looking more towards, I guess, something different as we go forward, but just being able to make sure that we had answers to folks about available funding. I would note, it was mentioned that the 81,000 represented an addition to the 31,000, and that's actually not correct. That's adding the current fund balance as well as anticipated revenue for April, May, September, and November, which we would get the following months. So that's what the 86,528.20 represents, is that anticipation. Just, I guess, for folks that are keeping an eye on the dollar, which is what I expect. All right, we ready to vote then? Did you have anything, Councilwoman Salisbury? I'm needing to do better at asking you before we move on. And obviously,
No, Mike explained it well, thank you. I watched it on YouTube when I got cut off.
all right. Well, thank you. I'm sorry we lost you. All right, will we have a motion to approve the expenditures from TAD as noted by Mr. Bailey? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. All right, lease consideration, Rise and Shine Cafe, Public Works Director's report, please.
Your Honor, if I might invite our airport division manager to make this presentation. He did the lion's share of the work on this, Mr. Bruce Ransom.
Bruce, good to have you here. I've seen you a lot lately.
Yeah.
Not at the airport, but.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I'll state my name, Bruce Ransom. I'm the airport division manager at Central Wyoming Regional Airport. And what I'd like to present before the council is a lease for the Rise and Shine Airport Cafe. This is going to be actually 2 leases that we'd like for consideration. The first lease is going to be for the main restaurant part at the terminal. It has been sitting vacant for several years, so we're really excited to be able to get that back open. And as Mr. Butterfield has stated, we've got more flights coming in this summer, so it's very timely. The first lease, which is the main restaurant part, is a straightforward lease. It's a fixed monthly rate, and it's a renewable on a 1-year term. And the second lease is a little bit different, and this is a concession lease that will give the operator the ability to serve food in the secure holding area. And what makes that a little bit different is it's for a small rental space of the floor, basically there where she would operate with a cart, so that the items would be on a cart. And that lease also has a secure room use fee, so there'll also be a percentage of the sales that are generated in that area as part of that lease agreement. So they're both laid out fairly straightforward. Are there any questions that maybe I can answer? I do have Teresa Cross here, who's going to be the owner. of the restaurant. And so if there's anything that we can answer for the council, we certainly will.
Any questions for Mr. Ransom?
I guess I'd just like to say, it's awesome. I'm glad to see we're getting somebody there, and I think having some food available in the secure area will help tremendously, because I don't want to have to come an hour early just to get breakfast and then go through security, so.
No, it's definitely needed, and I think the travelers would really appreciate it. I mean, not only on the regular schedule, but certainly when flights are delayed, that will give them some, some food.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
I'd be interested to hear from the new owner to just kind of get an idea of what your offering is going to be and kind of what your hours are going to look like. And this is a good opportunity for you to come up and share with the public what you're going to do.
Come on up, Ms. Cross. Thanks for being here tonight.
Gotcha. My name's Teresa Cross. I'm going to open at the doors at 4 o'clock in the morning. And that way we can be there for the first morning shift, the people that come in on the airplanes, the people are leaving. And they can have breakfast and coffee, and we're going to have a coffee shop inside so they can have some Bristow. And when they go in to have coffee, they'll smell my baked goods, and so they'll get baked goods. And then we'll be open till 8 in the evening, Monday through Sunday. So that's the projection. It's going to be American cuisine, just old-time bacon and eggs and hash browns and corned beef hash and chicken fried steaks and giant cinnamon rolls, and just try to take it back to what it used to be when I was younger, so.
I know when I was up there when I was younger, it was famous up there for cinnamon rolls. And I came up there and had cinnamon.
Well, I think it's going to be famous for the cinnamon rolls again, because
Good.
It's
Good.
something I have a specialty in that I just really love doing, so. We have huge ones, we have smaller ones, if people want to come up and have just a regular cinnamon roll, but I do have the giant ones, and they are huge, so.
Should we require cinnamon rolls before we approve the lease?
That may be helpful.
Sure, I can make some, and I can bring them right in to you, so.
I jest. We're not going to do that.
Kind of.
Maybe. Maybe we won't do that. I don't know. It depends on what the
Who knows, maybe the next council meeting, you guys will show up and there'll be a cinnamon roll on your desk, so.
But I do know that was definitely something that I enjoyed, and people, and that's always been the discussion is, it's a difficult balance because you want to be able to attract travelers in the airport, but you also are going to be able to want to have people from.
There is, and there's a lot of people up on the hill there, that, they don't have to come all the way to town. They can go get a cappuccino because I'm going to have Java. Java's going to be right inside. They're going to have a little espresso machine set up in the restaurant, and it's going to be nice. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're really excited, so.
And it'll help
Forward to it.
to have 3 flights coming in and going in a day.
Yeah,
I know
that'll
you
be
had
great. It will.
mentioned that to Edge, that you were.
Yeah, I said it before I realized that it wasn't a for sure thing, so now it's a little bit closer to the for sure thing, so.
Right.
And Your Honor, I think the restaurant we had up there many years ago suffered tremendously by the airline issues that we had and just the lack of
Well, the airline
capacity.
and then COVID did so much damage to so many businesses, and trying to recuperate from the damage that was done by it. It's hard, It's hard to bring something back to life, but I'm going to work my hardest to do that, so.
Having our head counts like we do now is certainly going to help.
It is.
Be helpful.
It really is.
Wish you the best.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for coming up.
Thank you, Mr. Ransom. All right. I'd entertain a motion to approve the lease agreements for the restaurant space and the secure area concessions located at Central Wyoming Regional Airport to Teresa Cross, doing business as Rise and Shine Cafe.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by, man, I got confused with 3. Councilman Pronto made the motion, and the second by Councilwoman Borders. We have the Bailey Borders.
I know.
Often you guys.
Well, they had me at cinnamon rolls, so.
Yeah, that's right.
We lost focus after that.
Yeah,
Totally.
it could be that we're hungry.
It's all a blur.
It is definitely that we're hungry.
All right, any other discussion? You got us talking about food, and I think everybody got excited, so that's good.
Shiny object.
Cinnamon rolls.
That's
right.
Not just food, cinnamon rolls. I don't know, I was looking forward to the eggs, so that's.
That makes it a big airport when you got cinnamon.
That's right.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. I vote aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Appreciate you being here. And I appreciate you being willing to move in up there. Good. I know when we were heading up to Wham or coming back, I was speaking about this with Mr. Butterfield, and we were trying to think of anything we could put in up there. And I mean anything. I'm not saying where all the ideas went, but don't let your imagination run wild, though. But, yeah, so thank you. All right, air monitoring station lease proposal, city administrator's report.
Thank you, Your Honor. Tonight, we're requesting that you discuss and consider whether you would like to direct staff to begin drafting a lease with the Department of Environmental Quality. To give a little background, this lease would specifically address an air monitoring station. The City of Riverton previously approved a ground lease agreement with a company called Air Resource Specialists. This was back in 2020, and that allowed them to place a temporary air quality monitoring station on city property, and it was basically a trailer. The term of the agreement was for 13 months, and required a monthly rental of $150. The agreement was later renewed by the City Council in January of 2022 for an additional 12 months. Air Resource Specialists basically served as a third-party vendor or contractor to the DEQ, or Department of Environmental Quality, to provide that air quality monitoring service through the trailer that they had located on city property. Included in your packet is an aerial visual of where the lease previously was located and where the proposed location would be. And for those in the audience and those watching at home, the location would be where an existing stormwater detention pond is located, just east of the Cliffview Mobile Home Park, which is located off of Park and Smith. So even if you want to orient yourself to where the Honeycutt Complex for softball or the Saban Complex for baseball, it's just directly west of that location where there's a stormwater detention pond. The DEQ recently expressed interest to city staff to establish a permanent air quality monitoring station at that location, and again, place it at the location where they previously had leased the temporary air quality station. The proposed monitoring system would be part of a statewide network to monitor air quality, and the equipment for the station would be supported through a grant administered by the Environmental Protection Agency. It should be noted that the DEQ is required by federal code of regulation to monitor air quality in populated areas of the state. And with the proposed station, they specifically plan to monitor particulate matter in Riverton's air. Data related to the station would be made public and available on the DEQ's website, which is included in your packet. So should the City Council want to entertain this idea, you, through a motion tonight, wouldn't be approving a lease because we have not yet drafted it, but you'd be directing staff to work with the DEQ to prepare a lease agreement that would then later come back to you to approve its terms and conditions, which would include the monthly rent required or annual rent required and any other provisions related to the terms of the lease. I do want to make note that Jacob Barrett from the DEQ is here tonight, and we appreciate him traveling and being here in person. And I know he'd be willing to answer any questions that you may have regarding the proposed monitoring station and the proposed lease proposal. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Chair would entertain a motion to consider a proposal from the Wyoming Department of Air Quality, Environmental Quality, had air on the brain, to lease ground for an air monitoring station.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bailey with the motion, Councilwoman Borders with the second. Mr. Barrett, do you mind? I had a couple of questions, if you don't mind.
Don't mind at all.
Scratching my nose. Mr. Butterfield noted you drove up here. Where'd you drive up here from?
Cheyenne.
Oh.
Wow.
It was a beautiful drive.
Was it?
Yeah.
You could stay if you like. We have hotels here and restaurants.
I've already got a hotel room.
Good.
I'm headed up to Gillette tomorrow, so.
That's a plus already. You've decided to stay overnight.
Yeah.
I guess I wanted to find out, so we had this temporary location. Can you tell me a little bit about, had you had any issues that were reported from the temporary location that were of note? What's the history, I guess, with Riverton and air quality and the DEQ? Broad question, I know.
It is. Generally, the history is there's been that mobile, and I think there was a mobile prior to that years ago, but I couldn't tell you specifically when. There are no specific concerns with Riverton. The mobile did not reflect any persistent problems. The grant from the EPA is kind of a population-based sort of thing, and Riverton is one of the locations that we identified as an underserved population. We also got monitors approved through that grant to go into Warland, and we have those installed, and they're currently monitoring up there as well. The monitors would help us in monitoring, especially during the summer, the fire and smoke that rolls through the state from other states, including, California, Oregon, Idaho, sometimes Canada. And it helps us better notify the public of the air quality index, the AQI. And right now, the AQI for Riverton is often based off of surrounding monitors. The nearest one to Riverton is in Lander. And Riverton's far enough away that it can vary drastically from Lander to Riverton. And so a monitor for PM particulate matter size 10 microns, which is about the width of a hair, and 2.5 microns, which is 4 of PM10s, would give us a good indication of what's going on and how we can better inform the public as to possible health hazards that are occurring in real time.
Your Honor.
Yes.
What else are you monitoring? Are we monitoring ozone or SO2 or?
So the mobile unit did monitor ozone, SO2, NOx, NOx, nitrogen oxides, and I believe it also measured total hydrocarbons. Over the course of the mobile being deployed, we never saw any elevated levels of any of those that were of note. And so the two monitors that we would be installing are just the particulate matter for size 10 and 2.5. We have roughly 10 monitors throughout the state that I'm in charge of collecting the data and making sure they are operational. We would have an employee come out once a month to make sure that the monitors are fully operational and do their quality assurance checks to make sure that they are constantly running. Should anything goes down, we have 2 technicians on staff that they would come out immediately to get it up and running. So you would rarely see a monitor down more than a few days.
Mr. Bailey, did you have a?
I think some of it got answered by what you answered him, but so is there, is the state looking at expanding that network of 10, or are you just focusing on certain areas? And, I always wonder, how'd you pick that area of Riverton to put the monitor? I mean, downwind from all of us, or,
No, absolutely. That's a great question. And yeah, this is part of extending that network. And we're always looking to expand the network because the more it's expanded, the more accurate data we can collect, the better we can inform the public as to what's going on. Like I said, we identified Riverton as one of the larger populations that was being underserved. And so we wanted to put one out here. It's also kind of middle of the state, and it would be a big help during fire season, because that's an ongoing conversation we constantly have with the EPA, that our values are not that high due to anything going on in the state. It's all coming from outside of the state.
Because I know in some of the big cities, they're monitoring for, ozone depletion and all that kind of stuff. So really, this is just smoke and.
Yeah, this is a particulate matter. We do have ozone monitors, particularly in the Upper Green River Basin, where we have ozone, not problems, but we have ozone generation that occurs in that area predominantly. That's not something that happens here very often, and our mobile station did not reflect that it occurred here.
Okay. Because I know Yellowstone Park doesn't meet the spec, right?
Do we have any stations in front that pick that up before we are monitoring it? In other words, if winds blow west to east, we're in the center. Is there anything in Du Bois or Cody or farther closer to the border, closer next to Idaho?
So yes, we do have a monitor in Cody, we have a monitor in Gillette, and we have a monitor in Jackson, as well as I mentioned Lander earlier. So winds coming from that direction are being picked up there. However, you can't always predict the smoke plume and how high it stays suspended in the atmosphere before it comes back down.
That's right.
And so the more monitors we have, the better we can map out what's going on.
And I guess if I'm understanding correctly, this is through a grant from the EPA.
Correct.
To the DEQ.
Correct.
With the expectation you're going to have one in an underserved area. You're considering Riverton. If we didn't do this lease, you'd still be looking in Riverton just with somebody else.
That is correct.
And I'm just trying to understand that. I wouldn't be a good Wyomingite if I didn't look a little bit askance, sorry to say, at the DEQ and the EPA. That's just, my grandparents were ranchers. We live in Wyoming. So I'm not trying to pepper you with things, but that's just, you're always kind of wondering when the other shoe will fall. And so that's why I'm curious about where we've had, if there have been any issues, where they've been, and it sounds like you're saying there were no persistent problems with the mobile device. Do you have any other, you said the surrounding ones are determining air quality in Riverton, but that's including like Lander, that kind of thing. Do you have any others?
So when the air quality index is calculated for areas that don't have specific monitors, they use surrounding monitors to calculate the AQI, the air quality index. So if there's not a local monitor, it's not necessarily a best guess, but it's a best calculation from the directions of the winds or the weather that's going on as to what's going on in that particular area. And I don't blame you for looking askance at EPA and air quality, or the Department of Environmental Quality. I feel the same way.
And you work for them.
And I work for them. Long story short, my family wanted to stay in Cheyenne, and this was the job I was able to get. I really like being able to look at those numbers and check them. And like I said, with a lot of the smoke, it's Wyoming wanting to tell the EPA, this isn't us. This isn't our problem. This is a problem from another state that we're taking the brunt of. And so we want to show the EPA that the elevated levels of particulate matter that we see, especially during the summer, are not our. They're our concern, but they're not our cause. I mean, we did not cause it, and so we want to be able to show them beyond reasonable doubts that it's not Wyoming. And so, I mean, I again feel the same way you do. Can't go into much more than that, but
I understand.
But yeah, it's about us wanting to push back on the EPA if they come in and say we have high values. Well, we have high values because of somewhere else.
And some of the way you do that is by being able to trace it from other air quality monitoring stations, and you can follow it through.
Yeah, we have several different modeling techniques, and there are lots of really good satellite imagery that we can use that show the smoke dispersion and how long it stays in the atmosphere and where it precipitates back down to ground level, and it starts affecting our monitors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Butterfield.
Your Honor, and perhaps this was answered, but I think in the instance of when an exceedance does occur to the thresholds required, what does the enforcement arm look like from the DEQ or the EPA based on this monitoring station? I think is an appropriate question.
I think so, thank you.
That's a great question. So I can get into the numbers here real quick. They probably won't mean much to you, but the PM10 has a daily average of 150 parts per million, or I'm sorry, not parts per million, micrograms per meter cubed. And then the Wyoming has a much stricter annual average of 50 as opposed to the EPA's 100. And then for 2.5, the daily average is 35 micrograms per meter cubed, and the annual was just lowered in February by the EPA nationwide to 9 for a 3-year average. If there is a daily exceedance of either one of those, we note it and we log it and we investigate as to why it occurred. And then if it was, for example, wildfire smoke, we start to put together what's called an exceptional event package. And in that exceptional event package, we put down the documentation that we collected as to why it was wildfire smoke and it wasn't us. And then we send that to the EPA and ask for a special flag in their data collection system. And if they grant that exceptional event, that flag goes into their data collection system, and that data is not calculated against the state as far as regulatory action is concerned. As far as DEQ having any sort of regulation on it, there isn't any. We're doing it for data collection solely. There's no penalty for exceeding at any point. The only penalty would come if the EPA decided to make this area a non-attainment zone. And that would mean you would have to exceed the daily and or the yearly for an extended period of time that the EPA would say that there's definitely something wrong and it has to be fixed. So the only current non-attainment area in the state of Wyoming is the Upper Green River Basin, and that's for ozone. Currently, there is a mitigation plan for high winds, all cards on the table, that is out for public comment for Sublette and Campbell County. And a lot of that is pertaining to the mining industry that's going on.
I guess that's a little bit what I worry about. There's been a lot of excitement about cow methane, which of all the things that I thought in our modern age we would be talking about, I did not think we would ever talk about cow excrement and what that means for the rest of us in the developed world.
Agreed.
And I worry, I guess, because I feel like there's been different areas that the EPA has been pushing for changes, and some of that has been for for vehicle changes to electric vehicles, that kind of thing, and being a very agriculture area as we are, I get concerned about that. I don't want the EPA to come in and say, you've got to get rid of 5,000 cows by February of 2026 because our monitoring station says that you're over for the methane gases for what you should be.
Yeah, I know, I agree with that, but I mean, about the cows, we're not monitoring methane, so it's not a concern. As far as the particulate matter, like I said, over in Lander, we have really high values the 4th of July. We always flag, we have special flags that we can put in for fireworks, and so those are excluded from their regulatory determinations as well. Riverton is just kind of an extension of the network to help show that the state is well within compliance. And we have no particulate matter areas of concern. The mitigation plans are being asked of us because of the exceptional events. There's a high number of those that are submitted from the coal mines and the other mining industries, and they are absolutely legitimate. And the problem is you're allowed one per year. and they essentially hit that one per year every year. And so there's a couple that have exceeded that, and that's what has them looking at a mitigation plan. Part of that mitigation plan is simply getting information out to the public to let them know that there are going to be high winds, and that can cause a lot of dust to be kicked up from those mines. So if you do have respiratory issues, please think twice about going out into the public. And that's a large part of what that mitigation plan is going to look at. Like I said, it's out right now for public comment, so I would encourage you, and I can send you a link to where that's at to take a look at it and what we've said our path forward is for those areas.
I haven't meant to hog the discussion, but those are just...
No, absolutely, and they're great concerns and great questions.
Mr. Bailey?
So, for example, if Fremont County got high and it's because everybody's driving on dirt roads and stirring up dust, they might suggest we do a dust abatement for our county roads or something like that.
So, I mean, that great example, we have a monitor in Converse County, and we were getting high readings during the 6 a.m. hour. It was not enough to exceed our 24-hour value, but it was enough to make us look at what was going on. And what was going on is we were having a lot of truck traffic going out to oil and gas in that area during that time. So what we did was we actively worked with the county to put down a layer of mag chloride over that road. We got that accomplished, and we stopped seeing the high values.
Yeah.
And that kind of resolved the issue. So I mean, it's kind of a proactive step for if we see high things, as well as a data record for maintaining why we have high values and whether or not they were caused by the state of Wyoming and its population or not.
Right. Okay.
Most often not.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, well, the motion was, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it, Mr. Bruce. Motion was to consider a proposal from the Wyoming Department of Environmental Quality to lease ground. You need anything else, I guess, in that motion?
Your Honor, I think that's fine. If you wanted to add anything, you may just add that you direct staff to work with the DEQ to draft that lease proposal and bring it back to you. Because you're not necessarily approving the lease tonight, you're just simply considering it and then directing us to bring forward a lease proposal.
Okay, so
I
moved.
guess, is that the pleasure of the council?
Yes.
So the motion right now is, I suppose, for an amendment for the motion, I suppose, to direct staff to prepare a lease agreement. Is that accurate, Mr. Bailey? Is there a second? Motion by Councilman Bailey, second by Councilman Paranto, to direct staff to prepare a lease agreement. That's, I suppose, the amendment on the motion. We're a little bit of a weird place, but all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. I guess we're on the main motion then of the proposal and directing staff.
Okay.
All in favor of that?
Aye.
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 I vote aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Hopefully, that's not too complicated of a record, Ms. Harris, but, all right. Thank you, and thank you for making the drive. Leave as late as you can tomorrow, and all right, 2024 Pavement Striping Project Award. Mr. Eggleston, since you haven't been able to talk a lot at this meeting, how about you talk about this?
Sure, Your Honor, thank you. Before you tonight is a reflection of the past Force Committee meeting on April 8th. We received 2 quotes from Wyoming firms to do a pavement striping project throughout the city of Riverton. This will be actual roadway miles and not curb and gutter markings. This is just the pavement stripings themselves. Received 2 quotes, one from Pavement Maintenance Incorporated in Cody for $48,232.80, and a second quote from S&L Industrial in Cali, Wyoming for $55,400. Staff would recommend approving the quote for $48,232.80 for Pavement Maintenance Incorporated. This is paid for out of the force budget. It's anticipated this project would begin in July after the budget. There's adequate funding to cover that project at this point if we were to do it today, but the fund will averages $170,000 of additional income or revenue each month. So our recommendation would be to move forward on this project.
Okay. Chair would entertain a motion to award the bid for the 2024 pavement striping project in the amount of $48,232.80 to Pavement Maintenance, Inc.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Bailey, seconded by Councilwoman Borders. Discussion, amendments?
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
The budget being, or the amount being less than 75,000, why is it appearing before us?
Mr. Butterfield?
Your Honor, and Councilman, I appreciate that question, and Mr. Eggleston and I had that conversation. While this is within the spending authority that was established with our new procurement policy, we felt that because this was part of the Fix Our Road Citizen Committee recommendation and part of that optional 1% tax, it made sense to bring it to you from a transparency standpoint and a communication standpoint. So while yes, this is within the spending authority that you have granted me, we still felt that it was a good practice to bring it before you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Eggleston, how many miles of roadway do we have in Riverton?
Approximately 90 miles worth of roadway,
So this represents 20%?
roughly.
Let me do some math here. 15. I was close.
Streets and alley staff identified the areas that needed the markings. Those are generally heavy trafficked areas, and those were the ones selected for the project.
I was going to say, some of these, for example, I mean, some roads, we don't worry so much about having striping down the middle because it's just understood you're going to stay on this half. And state statute says that too. You have to stay on your half of the roadway. So I'm assuming that most of this is going to be near intersections where we have like arrows saying go this way, go that way, that sort of thing. Is that about accurate?
Where the arrows are concerned, city staff will deal with the arrows. They'll do a better job than we did last time. This will just be the actual center line pavement markings. Let me see. The estimated, our roadway length, it was 13 miles. Our planned placement miles is on solid center, solid center lines is about 25.9 miles. So that's what their primary focus is going to be, where some of these areas, such as Broadway, a lot of those pavement markings are fading badly.
Thank you. I know I've heard feedback from folks saying they're kind of like, why have the striping if it's not going to be refreshed? And I appreciate that feedback. Any other discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 I vote aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Eggleston.
Thank you.
Assignment of lease, Edgington Trust. Mr. Eggleston again.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before you tonight is a request for an assignment of a hangar lease from Randy and Shauna Edgington to their trust, their living trust, in the name of Randall K. Edgington and Shauna R. Edgington, trustees of the Randall K. Edgington and Shauna R. Edgington Living Trust, dated January 23rd, 2024, and any amendments thereto. This is just a simple reassignment of the existing lease to encumber the actual trust name. There's no fiscal or no budget impact for us. It's just a simple bookkeeping matter.
Okay. Chair would entertain a motion to approve the assignment of hangar lease from Randy and Shauna Edgington to Randall K. Edgington and Shauna R. Edgington, trustees of the Randall K. Edgington and Shauna R. Edgington Living Trust, dated January 23rd, 2024, and any amendments thereto.
So moved.
Second.
You didn't want to repeat the whole motion?
No, I do not.
Motion by Councilwoman Borders, second by Councilman Bailey. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Public hearing and consideration of, well, I guess we don't have to have a public hearing on second reading, but consideration of ordinance 24001, second reading, fidelity bonds. Mr. Butterfield's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll be brief in the background because I know we went through this at the last business meeting, but I'll just make reference to a few statutes. As a first-class city, we are governed by specific Wyoming state statutes, particularly Chapter 3 of Title 15. Within that chapter, it does state that all elected officers shall be qualified electors of the city, entitled to vote at the elections therein. But more specifically to the topic at hand, it does state that each officer shall give bond in an amount and upon conditions that are provided by ordinance. As we talked at the last meeting, officers of the city of Riverton include you as an elected body or a governing body, but Wyoming statute further defines for first-class cities appointed officers related to the city, and that includes the clerk, the treasurer, the engineer, the attorney, police chief, the judge, and department heads, unless otherwise specified by municipal ordinance. So you can establish other appointed officers, but those are the appointed officers required by statute. As it relates to fidelity bonds, Wyoming statute 151124 specifically states that the governing body of any city or town shall require the treasurer and may require any other officer or employee, to post bonds for the performance of their duties. The bonds shall be from a surety company licensed to do business in the state in an amount as the governing body determines, payable to the city or town, and shall be filed with the city or town clerk. The city or town shall pay the bond costs of any filing costs. I also provided reference in your report about other statutes that reference the requirement specifically for the treasurer to be bonded. Your current municipal code already addresses this statutory requirement. What you're doing with this proposed ordinance is reviewing what you currently have in statute and then also giving you the opportunity as the governing body to make amendments if you feel that they are required or necessary. Currently, specifically, the Riverton Municipal Code references 2.08.020, 2.28.040, and 2.36.020. I expect everyone to remember that. And it does address from those sections the requirement to post fidelity bonds or performance bonds as it relates to personnel. In brief, those sections require the clerk treasurer or the city treasurer to be bonded in an amount not less than $50,000, a blanket bond of not less than $25,000 for all other officers and employees, a $1,000 bond for the chief of police, and a $1,000 bond for the municipal judge. So that's what you currently have in ordinance. We are complying with state statute. City staff recently discussed the topic of fidelity bonds with the city's attorney, and we felt that it was appropriate that you as a council, pursuant to your duty, review these fidelity bonds and ensure that you feel comfortable with the amounts that are prescribed and also the officers that are listed therein. Proposed ordinance does make a few changes, and we reviewed those at the last business meeting, but I do want to highlight that in your packet, underlined in green, is an additional proposal on second reading for your clarification, and that is as it relates to the blanket bond. It clarifies some language, and that's specific to the feedback we received from our city attorney in that those that have custody of funds with the city of Riverton should be bonded. So it states, all other officers and employees of the city, and this is the addition, having custody of money belonging to the city, including the mayor, council president, and any other officer designated as signatory of checks, shall be bonded by a blanket bond in an amount not less than $25,000. As we've discussed, the other additions or changes that are proposed for you on second reading is that the minimum amount for the for the treasurer or clerk treasurer is $100,000 rather than $50,000. And then there's an addition that requires the city administrator to be bonded at a similar amount, so an amount not less than $100,000. There's also a provision that's expanding the existing ordinance that states the governing body may by resolution increase the amounts of such bonds and may also require similar bonds to be furnished by any employee having custody of city funds. And then we clarified that the bonds will not be filed with the county clerk as a requirement by our ordinance, but to be, consistent with statute, it would be filed with the city clerk or the city administrator if it is related to the clerk's filing of the bond. We appreciate this opportunity to have you review what you currently have in ordinance and also review what's required of you by statute. I think it is appropriate to again make reference to the fact that this is one control in place of many to protect the public funds that run through City Hall and that are required to provide services to the residents that you serve. I want to make note that specifically we have a written policy that is reviewed by our auditors every single year as it relates to controls for municipal finances, and specifically that we have very prescribed breaks in the financial process, meaning that there are breaks in control for the person who is receiving funds and recording funds, to those that are posting them to the bank account, to those that are reconciling the bank account, and to those that are able to cut checks. And it should be noted that any check cut by the city of Riverton requires 2 signatures, and currently no checks are written without first going through the finance committee unless there's an exception provided. And if there's that exception, it has to have 2 signatures. So we do have a finance software that has my signature and the mayor's signature, but those checks cannot be cut without first going through the finance committee and receiving that recommendation, and then also the recommendation for the payment of obligations by the city council. We have other instances when we need to issue payment from a city standpoint, and that would be from our municipal court as one example. When someone posts a bond, a different type of bond than what we're talking about, with the court, but they do appear and we can reimburse that amount that they hold for security. We cut a check manually, but that check cannot be distributed unless it has 2 signatures on it. And there is, again, a break in the process, meaning our court clerk is not a signatory on that account, but she can at least assist through that process. I wanted to also make note that every year when we do go through our financial audit, in addition to reviewing the finances of the city and ensuring that we are being faithful stewards of tax dollars, our auditors perform fraud interviews with staff members. I personally, as the city administrator, go through a fraud interview. I know our administrative services director does. But additionally, our auditors meet with staff members and they say, certain staff member, tell me what your process is when you receive a payment for a utility bill. And they'll pay attention to the answer that's provided by that finance clerk or other employee, and they will compare it back to our prescribed process as it relates to financial controls. So when you have the auditor come into the city, these fraud protection interviews are part of that. And if it so happens that we have an employee that responds to these questions that says, well, I received these funds and I act this way, that is not consistent with our prescribed policies and not consistent with those breaks and those separations, then that would be reported to you as part of your audit finding or audit report. With that, I know I'm belaboring this point, but I wanted to at least identify that there are several controls in place, and these fidelity bonds are an important one. And we as staff feel that it's an important duty that you have to ensure that we're bonded to the appropriate amount. But that is one of several protections, so that if, in the worst-case scenario, there is a bad actor at the City of Riverton, we mitigate their ability to have access to funds or to fraudulently act with those funds. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Would the Administrative Services Director please read ordinance number 24001 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Ordinance number 24-001 on second reading. An ordinance amending Title II, Administration and Personnel, Chapter 2.08, City Officers and Employees Generally, to revise Section 2.08.020, Bonds of the Riverton Municipal Code, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, and providing for an effective date.
I'd entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 24001 on second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Larson, second by Councilwoman Borders. Discussion. Do we need any special consideration for the change, or is it pretty much understood from the way that it's been described that it's with that change of having custody of money belonging to the city?
Your Honor, I think if you adopt it on second reading as it is proposed or detailed, I think you are fine.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. I vote aye. Motion passes. That's all we've got. I've run out of paper. Well, I've not run out of paper. Still have more. Do we have a need for an executive session or anything? All right. Well, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn the regular council meeting.
So moved.
I'll second.
Councilman Larson with the motion, Councilwoman Borders with the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed, say nay. Was that a nay vote, Councilwoman Salisbury?
Yes, sir.
All right.
It's a record.
Meeting stands adjourned at 9:03 PM.
You did. It's okay. I've got them all pulled up here. I'll just send them to you for your